Don't forget to click that subscribe and bell icon to receive a notification each time I upload a new video. It's Friday morning, the 8th of January. Ian and I have had a production meeting this morning about when days of the week we're going to film for the Steam Kitchen, and then when we're going to do the editing and all that kind of stuff, so we can get in advance of doing things. So for example, the digi-download for the recipe sheets, we need to make sure that they're done and uploaded onto the website ready for people to purchase in advance of the actual show going live on the Saturday, stuff like that. So things that need to happen in a certain order, and also working out what technology we're going to need, because we're going to need more than one camera. Then of course I've got my camera that I use for filming, my desktop, but we don't necessarily want to use the same camera for filming in the kitchen, doing the long shots, as in the shots of me and Ian behind the counter fiddling with the food. So there's lots of things to think about, lots of different steps in which to think about. You need to shoot things in, and it's just like recording a YouTube video for a process video. So if you're a YouTuber, you'll understand what I mean. Because you've got to kind of do your front on thing, or you've got to get your camera set up and you've got to get everything prepared ready first before you do it, otherwise you're just wasting your time. If you fail to prepare, exactly. So we have to sit down and just work out, what days of the week we're going to be filming, when are we going to be editing, when we're going to squeeze everything else in, because I've still got to go to the post office, I've still got to go do mum and dad's shopping, I've still got to do our grocery shopping, I've still got to edit and get the vlog uploaded and that kind of stuff. So it's one of those things where unless you actually sit down and talk about it and say, right, we'll do this on this day, and we'll do this on this day, and we'll do this on this day, then neither of you know what you're doing. So one of you might want to film on one day, and one of you might want to go out and do shopping on the other, or whatever, and you're at loggerheads. So you have to sit and discuss and talk about when is the best days to do what, and when is the best time to film stuff. Because filming for me, doing my project videos in the afternoon, is a no-no, because the sun comes right around the back of the house and shines through the window, and I can't see the screen, because currently we haven't got any blinds up at the window, which I'm hoping to rectify in the next week or two. But at the minute, so there's all those kind of things that you've got to take into consideration before you can even turn your camera on. I know it's a complicated business.
Well, Mike's busy upstairs filming. I thought I'll make a quiche for tea. So I've got all my ingredients weighed out already. No point watching me weigh stuff out. It's like watching paint dry. 3 eggs, 150 grams of mature cheddar. It looks a lot, but it isn't. 150 mils of milk, some chives, dried. Fresh chives would be nice, but dried's good. And some salt and some pepper. And I've got my favourite dish out, which is my quiche dish, which has got a loose bottom and it's got all the holes in it, and it works really, really well. It's the best. I think it's probably the best tin I've got. The pastry I've bought. I can make my own pastry, but by the time you've made it and you've spent the money buying all the ingredients, it's cheaper to buy it. I think this was 80 pence or something like that, and I can get the quiche out of this and some little pasties or something to go with it. So what I'll do, I'm just gonna use a little bit of butter, and I'm gonna grease the inside of the tin, and I'll come back to you and we'll put the pastry in, trim it, and then we'll decide what we're going to do with the offcuts, because I don't like to waste it. A Yorkshireman never wastes nought. Okay, so I've now greased my tin, and I've got my pastry. This is the bit where it normally goes wrong, because I've got to get the pastry over the tin without me breaking it. And the good thing about the pastry is it's easy to make. It's easy to use rather than not easy to make. The bad thing is it's only just wide enough to fit this tin. I think it's probably made for a slightly narrower, well, I say narrower, not as wide tin as this, but I'm just going to feed it in, just so it's, there we go, so it doesn't pull. So I don't want it to pull, because if it's tight and I make it tight on the edges, if I make it tight on the edges, when I take it out, it's going to shrink when it comes out of the oven. It's going to shrink anyway, but I don't want it to shrink too much. So I'm just going to use my knife and just round the edge ever so lightly. It is a sharp knife, but it's not that sharp that I'm going to cut myself with it, he says. There we go. So put that to one side. So then we have our tart stroke quiche base. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to blind bake it, which means I'm going to put a circle of parchment, baking parchment in the bottom, and then I'm going to pop it in the oven full of baking beans, just like little ceramic baked beans, and it stops it from lifting. But first I need to chill it, so that'll go into the fridge now for a quarter of an hour, just to set up a little bit so it doesn't shrink as much in the oven. Right, so while that's in the oven getting ready to chill, I've got all my ends. You're not supposed to re-roll them, but I don't see why you can't. It does have a bad effect when you re-roll it, because it makes it quite thick. No matter how thin you try and get it, it seems to bulk up. I think it's the air, and I think you break down the gluten or whatever it is in the flour just a little bit more on top. There we are. There's my mum's rolling pin. This actually got a dip in the middle where she's used it all these years. When she died, I kept it all, and I like to bake with it. It just means it brings her a little bit closer to me, and she was always a great cook. Never cooked at home, because she was a brilliant cook. She used to bake when I was little. We used to bake on a Tuesday afternoon, and she used to make a meat pie or a steak and kidney pie or something for tea. And I used to just give me some dough to play with, and I used to, being little, I was only about 4 or 5, used to come out from the garden, wash my hands, but not wash them properly. And my mum used to say that the pastry was actually grey. It was that grubby, and he used to make my dad little biscuits out of it, and bless him, he used to eat them all. Never made him ill. Sometimes I wonder why it didn't make him ill. So I'm just going to use this large cutter just to cut some circles out. There we go. 3 circles there. Just use my knife to lift it. I'm going to put them onto this baking tray I've got here. They won't stick because it's just pastry. It's a good tray, is this. You've seen this tray before. It's the one I use for doing the paper for the journals. So we've got 3 there. I think we can probably get another one out there at least. But you'll see it becomes quite thick. Does the pastry. There's nothing wrong with rolling it and rolling it. It tastes exactly the same whether it's rolled 3 or 4 times or just out the packet. Just it's not quite as dainty. But I'm not quite as dainty, so that's fine. 1 and 2. There we go. Oh, that's not done very well, is it? There we go. 1, 2. There we are. Another one there. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put one in the middle, because they're not going in as circles. I'm going to make them into like little tiny little pasties. So here I've got some walnuts from yesterday's baking. So I'm just going to put on one side, I'm going to put a couple of walnuts like that. Remember, this is actually waste pastry, so by doing this we're making something from nothing. There we are. Another one on there. One on there. With the walnuts I'm going to put some chocolate chip chunks. Chocolate chips rather, not chocolate chip chunks, chocolate chips. You can't get a lot in them, but it's just for something a little bit different. 1, 2, 3. There we go. And the chocolate chips, I think they're quite small, these. Might bottom for me. Oh yes. So you can see they're not that big. Like big rabbit droppings, but don't tell him I said that. I wonder what on earth I'm feeding him. There we are. Don't need too many because they're actually all going to melt in the oven. So that's it. Just 3 or 4 in each. Too much and they're all going to go funny. So what I need to do now is just to bring that over the top and just crimp it. Do it that way, it's going to be better, I think. There we go. Just push it down with the knife. A little bit of a decorative edge. There we go. They're like little mini samosas with chocolate in rather than chicken or vegetables or whatever you put in samosas. I can never remember. Yeah. Just pushing it together. We could use milk to glue it together, but there's not that much in these, so I don't think I'm going to need to worry about using the milk. This one might be a bit too full, to be honest. It does look very full, that one. Let's have a look. Now it's very full, so make it a little bit thinner around there. There we go. So just use a knife to put little decorative edges on. And we'll put these in when we put the quiche in, so we're using the same amount of electric and we're getting something for nothing. Almost. That's if they work. There's no reason why they shouldn't. We've made them with jam before. Jam's nice. But I thought, why not put some walnuts and chocolate in? What would be nice to put in these would be some Nutella. I'm sure we have some somewhere. Went to Miami years ago and we had a Nutella pizza. Well, not with tomato, just with Nutella as a sweet. One of the pizza places on Lincoln Road. There we go. And then the last one, let's move that across. There we go. And what I'll do before I put it in, I'll just push it with a little bit of milk so they get a bit of a golden colour. If they go wrong, they go wrong. But, oh, a bit too much in that one. I'm sure they'll be edible, whatever they come out like. There we go. There we are. And one for me. Right, I'll be back in a moment when the quiche has chilled. I'll put the baking beads in, we'll put the oven on, and we'll get cracking. So, I've just got it out of the fridge. It's lovely, it's just set, it's gone a lot more solid. What I'm going to do is use a little fork. I'm just going to prick the base of it. By doing this, you stop it from lifting up from the base. It also helps to dry the base out, but essentially this stops it from fluffing up like short crust pastry does. By doing this, you're going to stop it from lifting up and raising. So there we go. So I've also got my trusty circle. I use this again and again. Took me ages to cut it out, so I thought I'm going to use it again. I've also got pardon me, my baking beans. As I said before, they're like giant baked beans, but they're made of ceramic. Put them there. Make sure that the beads are covering all over. This stops the paper from lifting. It's just, I could put them straight in, but by putting the paper on, you avoid the need to keep washing the beads, because they're on top of the baking parchment, so nothing can happen. So that's now as I want it to go in, and that will pardon me. Ate a walnut a minute ago and it's gone down the wrong way. I think you saw me eating it. Put that in the oven for 12 minutes, just to blind bake. Take all the beads out and the baking parchment, put it in for another 7 minutes, and then it'll be all crispy. Then we put the mixture in and bake it for 20 minutes on the 180 degrees. So I'll be back when it's ready to put the mixture in. Right, oven gloves on. It's time to take out the quiche case. As I said, it's been blind baked twice. You try saying that quickly. So it's all nice and dry now. So into that, I've got my milk, I've got my 3 eggs, I've got my cheese. What I'm going to do to start with is put the cheese on the base. It does look a huge amount of cheese. Now I know you'll be saying, oh, it's fattening. Yeah, but it's really, really, really tasty. If you're going to make a cheese and onion quiche, you may as well put plenty of cheese in it. I have actually got a secret weapon which I haven't showed you, which I'll tell you about. When we went to the supermarket, we were looking round and supermarkets have dried onion. You find it with the hot dogs and stuff like that. But it's beautiful, it's crispy and it's very sweet. So you get a lovely sweet vibe with it as well. So I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit over the top. Don't go too mad. I'll probably put some on top as well. There we go. And then I've got to do my eggs. So I've got milk there. 1 egg. 2 eggs, big loop of that one. And 3 eggs. There we are. Okay, got my little fork to give it a whisk up with, just so we get the milk mixed up with the eggs, so we have a nice even colour. You will get striations, which is the word for today, in the egg, because it's the way it seems to separate when you bake it. It doesn't make any difference, it's still beautiful. And very, 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 very tasty. So there we are. So we'll gently pour that over the mix. It will find its own way in the oven anyway. There we go, that's nice. And we're going to put a little bit of black pepper on. Just to give it a little bit of a kick. They say put salt on. Be very sparing with the salt if you do, because the cheese is quite salty, so just a little bit. The chives, the top, just to give that lovely green. Put plenty on. There we are. I think we're nearly empty. We've got another one. There we are. And to finish, just a very small amount of these, because when they're at the top of the oven, they're inclined to burn a little bit. There we are. Okay, so now that needs to go in the I think it's 180 or 160, 180, depending on what sort of oven you've got, for 20 minutes. And when we'll come into the end of the 20 minutes, we'll have a look in the oven together and see if it's time to get it out. Mustn't forget these as well. And I'll be back in 20 minutes. Or for you, a couple of seconds. Okay, now's the time to get the quiche out of the oven.
Who are you talking to?
Oh, talking to my friends over there.
Hi! Get in there.
Alright. Here we go.
That looks nice.
Looks very nice.
So I've come downstairs after filming my project to make a cup of coffee, only to find that Ian has made more tempting treats.
They didn't actually turn out as per they were supposed to, but I have an answer to this. No, I'm not throwing them away. We've got some aerosol squirty cream. So after tea tonight, I'll get them off here and I'll show you what they look like, squirty cream around them. You'll never see it, they'll look perfect.
Do you know, I've just done an art journal page about low self-image and about being a lumpy old pongo. This isn't going to do my waistline any good, is it?
Ooh, look at those.
Even better stuffed with cream.
Oh yeah. But no, the quiche is done, let it cool. It's pulled away from the edges. I'd say that was dang perfect.
Absolute mont. And it smells absolutely delicious.
So we'll show you these when they've got cream in later.
Let's see if there's any left.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I said I'd show you the finished, what would you call them, Mike?
It's a pudding.
Pudding. Yeah. Oh, there's a pudding.
It's a dessert.
Yeah, but I have actually put some golden syrup in there. Yeah.
Also, as well as.
So they look lovely. So
yes. So this little phrase that we've been bandying around between us about bigger little pickers wear bigger knickers.
my knickers are bloody massive tonight.
Yeah, mine are getting bigger as we speak. It's Saturday and it's the 8th of January, I think, and we've now taken down the Christmas decorations, so everything is back as it was for another year. It's always sad when Christmas is over and you return back to normality again. I kind of miss all the glitz and glamour and the tinsel and the glitter.
Well, we're out this morning and the sun is out and we've had a little bit of snow overnight and it's absolutely beautiful morning. There's Mr. Bentley with his coat on having a snuffle round and a tinkle. And there's the park. Beautiful morning, as I say. There's a big Great Dane over there. I think Bentley's going to go and have a play with him. Okay, today we filmed the first episode of the Steam Kitchen.
Yes, so far, so good.
And it smells lovely.
Yes, it's in the oven. We're just waiting for it to come out.
Toffee apple upside down cake.
Oh, simply divine.
With custard or with double cream? Or both?
See, choices.
Well, my friend Karen has given me a present to start the channel with. It is an apron. She was my friend. Baking queen. Really, Karen? Well.
Very appropriate.
Yeah, so I'm going to get my own aprons along the line, but this will do for now. Thank you, Karen.
It's Wednesday. Don't ask me what date it is. I've got no idea. 12th, 13th, something like that. I'm not sure. Anyway, we've done our grocery shopping this morning. Mum called yesterday and said that she didn't need anything this week. They're going to use up what they've got in the freezer, and they've got plenty of bread that she's been baking, or Dad's been baking, So they don't actually need anything from the supermarket. So I get Thursday off, sort of. Not really a day off. So this morning we've just been out and done our grocery shopping. Again, we did it together and split up, so we're in and out as quickly as possible. So yeah, so he's now stood in the rain at the post office, queuing to get in, because obviously there's only so many people allowed in the post office at any one time due to the lockdown restrictions. He's got his face mask on and he's got latex gloves on as well, so he's not too cold. I'd like to say a huge thank you to all of my angels, because without you, these videos would not be possible. Thank you.